mentioned safety coach after Danton Lynn left, correct? And wide receiver coach Moonty. Is Keith Williams back, or is there still a decision to be made there?
Keith is back,
okay,
absolutely, and be in some kind of role. I mean, that's a possibility.
Okay.
But we're kind of opening it up, taking our time, just like we did with the OC position. I got another announcement. I guess I can make it now. Robbie Leonard, he's actually going to take the defensive line job with the Raiders.
Okay.
So it's an opportunity for him. It's a step up for him, and we'll be looking for an outside backer guy.
He'll be the defensive line coach.
Yes.
John, any thoughts about just Craig Versteeg or James Urban and where they might fit on your guys' 20-50%?
Yeah, I mean, it could still be a position, or it could still be a senior assistant type game planning role. Love both those guys. Just kind of, I think it's a work in progress with Todd as they kind of get a feel for what direction we want to go. But those guys are a big part of what we've been doing, and I love those guys as coaches and people, and love to have them back.
John, I think Eric mentioned that he has like 5 or 6 plans, kind of contingency plans for this Lamar situation. I mean, obviously we know you want a winner, and Lamar gives you guys a great chance of doing that. How involved are you with just maybe kind of letting yourself, be a part of that discussion? Because if you guys trade Lamar, and I know we're not there at that point, it's pretty substantial.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you got to make plans for every type of scenario. Right. So that's part of it. You'd be negligent and irresponsible not to. So I'm a part of that too, and I understand all that. So that's what you do. It's all part of the deal. But I mean, any one of your players cannot be there for any number of reasons. So you've always got to have contingency plans, every single position. So to me, it's not really anything new that way. Try to be as strong as you can. We've always been a team that believes in depth. We've never been a team that's been top-heavy, as much in terms of our talent. We try to get as good a players as we can, but we also try to balance it with depth because we want to have a chance to win it every year. We try to put ourselves in position to win it every year. So I think that's true this year as well. It's just kind of different circumstances than we've had because you're trying to get your quarterback signed.
Jen, how involved are you with, there's a lot of free agents. You guys have a good 15, 16 free agents. How involved, I mean, a bunch of them said they want to come back. How much do you communicate with them and help them in that process? And obviously, Eric's got his hands full some of that too.
Yeah, I mean, every guy's in a different spot. It usually does come down to the contract. Obviously, guys pretty much almost always want to come back, which, I just take really great pride in that. I mean, appreciate the fact that guys want to be here. They want to be Ravens. They like playing here in Baltimore. They love the fans, organization, team, all those things. Guys like to win, So I think they like the work environment. So as a coach, that's what you try to build, and then from there, you hope the rest of it works out. Where it's a fit, which it won't for everybody, and you can't for everybody. Even coaches, like guys get opportunities. Robbie Leonard loves it here. But he's getting a better opportunity. Something gives him a chance to take a step forward. So, that's good too.
John, maybe this is a question for Todd or for Lamar, but moving past a couple of weeks from that introductory presser, do you know if they've had a chance to establish, kind of line of communication?
I think really realistically, that there's plenty of time for that. The important thing right now probably is to focus on the business part of it. I think the football part of it's going to be fine. I'm not worried about that at all.
John, I think you mentioned this maybe like November, December, but talking about Kyle and what his fit is in that defense. Kyle Hamilton he did so great at that big nickel spot, but I think I kind of remember you saying like he's doing so great even though he's kind of sort of out of position. So where do you see him long term, I guess?
Safety. Safety with the ability to play nickel or dime. And I think when we have moving parts, because we're not going to be a defense that's static. Our guys are going to be playing different positions. We're going to disguise. We're going to blitz. He's capable of doing pretty much everything. He covers tight ends really well. He even covers slot receivers well this year. Man covers. That's pretty unique for a safety, quote unquote. So I just think it gives us great flexibility. It leaves room for a third and even a fourth safety in the mix, Even a guy like Brandon Stevens, who's played well outside, he's played nickel, he can play safety. We've got some versatile pieces. So, Mike and Chris and myself, we're just kind of like, ooh, we've got versatile guys that can help us in different kind of ways. We can move them around.
John, I know offensively you're always going to run the football and be physical, but I'm just curious, what you guys did in 19 and 18 was so revolutionary, and now
Thank you for using that.
3 or 4 years later, with all these high-powered offenses, your thoughts changed about the importance of being a team that can strike quickly and through the air to catch up?
If you look at 19, we did that. We were able to do that, and that's something that we have not been able to do as much the last couple of years. It's a big important part of what we need to do. I mean, we need to be able to strike quickly, big plays, vertical completions. That stuff it's just massive in what you're trying to do, and that probably has much to do with 19's success as anything. So, yeah, we want to do that. Revolutions are never, revolutions. I actually studied revolutions in college. That was my thing in political science.
Thesis or something?
Well, they didn't ask me to do a thesis. I wasn't smart enough for that. I also got asked to do a thesis, an undergrad thesis. I'd heard of theses. I'd read about them, but I really didn't know what they were because I never got asked to do one.
So is it in Miami, Ohio library or something?
There is no thesis. I think I good grades though, but where were we? We digress.
We're talking about, the revolutions are.
The point is you got to keep it moving. You know what I mean? And then there's always a rising level of expectations when you change things. And you look around the league, what we did in 19 is caught on like wildfire. So all that stuff that we started doing in 19, everybody's doing right now. And everybody's saying you couldn't do that. So now, well, look at the Eagles. Teams are doing it. Even the Chiefs have run elements of stuff. I see our counter read stuff. I see it on college tape. These guys are coming in, we're showing their tape, and their colleges are running it. I just saw Ole Miss running a play like that this morning. So, that's kind of like, it's cool. You get excited about that. But we have to keep moving too. We have to keep improving. We got to keep the dice shells moving around too. But I would agree with you, Cliff. Big plays are a big part of that.
And I know how much relationships mean to you and your relationships with players. Sometimes when business gets involved, you're in a tough spot because you're the coach. Do you still feel as strong as ever about the relationship with Lamar and the organization's relationship with Lamar, that even all these outside pressures and all the attention this is getting, that you guys are in good standing there on both sides?
I do. That's a great question, Jeff, and it's a real serious, deep type of a thought from a relationship standpoint, because there are fiery darts that are fired at all of us from every direction, right? And the ability to understand where they're coming from and who they're coming from. And to me, it's there's going to be stuff from the outside. There are going to be things written. There are going to be things said. There are going to be things surmised that you just have to look at and just have to say, you know what? That's coming from the enemy. That's coming from a place that does not have any of our best interests at heart. So I'm not going to. I'm going to fend it off and not take it personally. The relationship is what matters, and the relationships with you guys or with teammates or coaches or owners or GMs, or head coaches or whatever, those are personal relationships. So you keep those things, you hold those things close to your heart, and don't get swept away by all those arrows that are being slung right now. So. And I trust that Eric does that and Steve does that, and I do my best to do it, and Lamar does his best to do it, and that's what you do.
You do two more, guys.
John, it was probably pretty tough to part ways with Steve Saunders and the strength department. You just talked about the decision and I guess the new direction you guys are going.
Yeah, things do move. Things move for different kind of reasons, and I think what Steve did for us, what he brought to this thing for the last 8 years was pretty revolutionary in itself. We're one of the strongest teams in football, one of the most physical teams in football, one of the most conditioned teams in football. That's why our record in December and January is really pretty phenomenal. November, December, and January is pretty remarkable. So a lot of that has to do with the way we condition. So appreciate Steve in that sense. It's going to be some opportunities for him, I'm sure, going forward. His kids, his son, his two daughters are playing Division I sports. His one son is playing Division II football. His other son is one of the best players in high school football, getting recruited by everybody. There's a lot of things going on in his family right now. So, we respect that as well. But I'm excited for Scott Elliott. I mean, Scott Elliott and the whole group gets an opportunity now to show what they can do. And we've been great. All the things we did in the injury front last year, I think, paid off this year. Yeah, we had some injuries, but the soft tissue stuff was vastly improved. So I think we're heading in the right direction.
How confident? You mentioned that at the end of the season that you're 100%, 200%, certain that you want Lamar if the quarterback is coming here. Is that any of that change, or is it the same as it was then?
Same as it was then, and I think the point is that 200% we want Lamar. And I believe 200% Lamar wants the Ravens, and that's, I'm going to keep believing that, But like we said, that's the plan.